activists here in Paris have been in court today demanding that the French energy giant TotalEnergies stop all future hydrocarbon projects anywhere in the world. Well, the activists argue that the company has known for decades about the link between climate change and all the oil and gas that it pumps out. But lawyers representing TotalEnergies say that this request is unfair and disproportionate. Well, the presiding judge is expected to announce his decision in early July. Well, for more, we can speak now to Brice Laniyan, who is a lawyer for Notre Affaire à Tous. That's an association whose name translates roughly as Our Business for Everyone, which works to establish climate justice. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What role does TotalEnergies and what responsibility does TotalEnergies have in the climate crisis, in your opinion?
Well, TotalEnergies is a carbon major, meaning it is one of the 10 biggest historical private emitters. The climate change that we experience today is the result of past emissions caused only by a few companies operating in the fossil fuel and cement industry. Another reason to hold TotalEnergies accountable is that the company, among others, found out quite early that the products could lead to dangerous climate change. And instead of changing their business model and to transition to renewables, Total chose to slow down climate action by questioning the legitimacy of climate science and by undermining ambitious climate policies. So I think you have many reasons to go after such a company, including the fact that TotalEnergies pretend to be a green firm. But the truth is that the French company is the first firm in the world developing new oil and gas projects today.
Okay, and that's what the case was about today, isn't it? That the activists would like to see no more new hydrocarbon projects anywhere in the world. Is that right?
Yes. Well, we believe the transition plan of Total failed to effectively address the climate crisis. And we have one simple and fair ask to the judge. We want the judge to order Total to suspend any new oil and gas projects. When you look at the International Energy Agency, which is clearly not a climate activist institution, the message is clear. Existing oil and gas fields are more than enough to meet the demand growth. So if we take seriously our climate goals to limit the temperature to 1.5 degrees, oil and gas companies such as Total or Shell cannot pretend to be Paris-aligned and keep developing new oil and gas fields. Doesn't make sense. It's simple math. When you look at the remaining carbon budget, we need to phase out of fossil fuel and stop expansions.
Let's talk a bit more about taking action against a multinational like Total, because it will only be useful, won't it, if other countries take similar action against their energy giants. Otherwise, all that will happen is that if Total can't meet demand, someone else will.
This is what we call the transfer risk. Well, it is true that if Total is held accountable, probably another company with maybe less sustainable requirements will take over. But still, if you think this way, there is no longer any individual responsibility. When we try to hold a private company accountable, we don't ask them to solve the climate change. We just want them to be accountable for the part in the climate change. Plus, our legal claims is not in an indemnitary one. We are not looking for any money. It's a preventive claim. We ask the company to change their business model and their climate strategy. Plus, we are not the only ones, the only climate activists suing oil and gas company. If you look in the Netherlands, Milieudefensie obtained a victory against Shell, and that has been ordered to reduce their emission by 45% by 2030.
And just lastly, Notre Affaire à Tous aims to establish climate justice. Just tell us, what is climate justice for people who don't really understand or aren't familiar with that exact term?
Well, you have two ways to understand it. First, you can understand climate justice in terms of redistributive justice, meaning that it is important that each company, each state contribute to tackling climate change regarding their historical contribution and their capacity. It is basically what we call equity. And the other side of climate justice is just the fact that if you don't make enough effort to contribute to the 1.5 target, you will have to answer to your inaction in front of a judge, which is basically what we try to do with Total and what we succeed to do before with the French government.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. Brice Laniyan, lawyer for Notre Affaire à Tous. Thank you very much indeed.